Hey, hey. Folks, we are back on the Zoo with Mr. Johnny Sibilly from FX's Pose. Welcome. He's really good at posing, let me tell you.
And it's a great show.
And it is a great show. All right, let's chit chat at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow. Oh, and
I need
you're
to
a
learn
showman.
some posing because
I'm sure you're just fine at
I am not that good at posing.
No, she actually is not that good at posing.
No?
Actually,
What is your favorite go-to pose when you're taking a picture?
like just
Yeah. I always feel like a lot of girls do like the head tilt.
The head
or
tilt.
like
Yeah.
you know, but I've never been good with like the duck face or the
horrible
you
with
know
that.
like these Instagram models that are like in front of a wall and go like.
Yeah.
Well, some of them can pull it off. I can't. I look like I'm on drugs or something.
But honestly,
I
it's
look
getting
like
a little,
I'm on drugs
no, but it's
too,
getting a
I
little
mean-
contrived though with some of them, you know, with the posing. But that's
Some of them are good though.
That's picture posing.
I'm just bad at it.
Oh, you're talking about like voguing. Like.
Tell us about Pose
I love
on
this.
Pose. It's a great show. It's
is.
Ryan Murphy, first of all.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I actually got a chance to meet one of the executive producers, one of the creators. God, I forget his name. I'm really
Steven.
Yeah, Steven.
Canals.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I saw him at Nalip recently, and he was talking about, you know, getting the show on air. And in the beginning, not a lot of people understood what it was about. So tell people what Pose is about.
So Pose is about New York City in the 1980s and the ballroom scene. A lot of LGBTQ plus people back in the day, before we in the forefront, before we were in your face.
Underground.
Underground, exactly. Their stories, their unique stories, and juxtaposing that with the rise of Trump and the people around him, and those worlds coming together, and you seeing the beauty of our LGBT community, primarily folks of color, and just having that family show every week.
Well, it's not literally like blood family. It's like the friends family.
Right, exactly. What the show delves into is all of these queer people that are, you know, cast aside from their families, how they come together to create houses and to create these new family structures that a lot of us have when we're not understood a lot of times by our families.
How long ago did you audition for this role? Because I know everybody knows you from all the fun characters that you do online, and then to see you here, it's like, okay, this guy is not just some little rinky-dinky Instagrammer. Like, this guy is the real deal. He can go into the set, and he can actually, you know, interpret a serious role for a Ryan Murphy production.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
No, I actually found out about this show when it was first announced. With my best friend Trace, we were sitting in the living room. She's actually from the ballroom scene, so she's an authentic girl. And we were just sitting there talking about it. I remember emailing my agent, like, I have to be part of the show somehow, some way, because I knew her and I knew her story, and it just felt so close to home to try and, you know, and it's also stories of queer people, and I was like, this fits in line. You know, as actors, you know, a lot of times we want to play things that are so opposite from us, but sometimes when your stories are not being told, or they're being told by, you know, straight actors, or, you know, other people that are not like you, you want to get a chance to get into those juicy roles. So this was the third time I actually auditioned for Pose.
Wow.
I remember the first time I auditioned, she brought me back and she was like, I want you to audition for something better.
Like the casting director.
Right, the casting director, yeah. And then
That's a
the
great
second time,
like feedback from a casting director.
yeah,
like,
I always try, as an actor, I'd always try and go into the room and just be invited back at all. You know what I mean? That's, I think, an attainable goal.
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, so they invited me back 2 more times. I actually did the self-tape here in LA and then sent it over to New York. Because I had auditioned, because I had just moved to LA last year.
Okay.
And the third time audition, I had already moved.
Wow.
I was like, watch me get an audition when I'm already moved.
Of course.
From New York. But I flew over there to do the part, and it's been the biggest dream come true.
Of course, that show is huge.
Tell us more about your role.
I play Costas Perez, who is the boyfriend of Billy Porter's character, Pray Tell. So Pray Tell is, you know, the MC of the ballroom scene. So he's, you know, usually boisterous and joyous and happy. But when he's with me, because my character is unfortunately dying of AIDS, he is a lot more quiet, a lot stronger, and you know, you see this love between these two men at a time where they're told that their love was a sin, and disgusting, and taking care of one another when they had no one else.
Now, I sure as heck don't feel sinful when I see the pictures of you and your real life boyfriend online, because those photos are just delicious, honey. Tell us a little bit about him and like how you two met.
I met my boyfriend. It was so funny because like I always feel like I've always been one of those people that like is looking for love. Like I love friends, and it was just at a time where I was like, I don't want anybody. And
this was when?
This was a year ago.
Okay.
So it's lasted.
Yeah. It's lasted.
stuff.
Yeah. And he just came into. We were at the same restaurant. We were at a brunch together with mutual friends. And I thought he was with someone else there, so I didn't like push it. And
then, like you thought he was with dating somebody
but
else.
I like was definitely attracted to him, but I don't like I don't go into someone else's house and try and steal their their nice fine china. So he reached out to me after the fact and like basically told him, no, I'm single, and I was like, all right, let's
get together.
We lived long distance for a long time until I moved to LA, which is still long distance.
So he's from here?
He lives in Portland, actually.
Oh, wow.
So I go back and forth, but 2 hours on a plane is different than 6 hours.
Right.
And we just went to Europe for our 1-year anniversary.
I love all the photos. I felt like I was on the world tour with you.
Yeah, no, a lot of my friends are like, do you have a boyfriend? Because I wasn't sure if you did, because I always post pictures of him, and I'm like, I mean, I'd be posting pictures no matter what of myself or like me with friends, so might as well.
How familiar are you with the ballroom scene? Because I'm a student in having, of just like underground subcultures, especially, from the 60s on. Yeah. I grew up in the 90s rave scene in Miami, and that was the first time that I ever went to a party where it was, the word pansexual wasn't around back then, but you had everybody. A lot of the raves took place in gay clubs and all that stuff. But club kids from the late 80s in New York and the ballroom scene had its influences on a lot of things happening now. You're probably too young to have experienced that, but what do you know about that era and those times?
Well, for me, I mean, even in living in Miami when I was, a young gay kid, I remember being at a club and someone came up to me, they're like, yes, honey, you could walk schoolboy realness. And I was like, what does that even mean, And basically what they were trying to say is that I could walk into the you walk into the ball and they have these categories, and realness means how real you can be. So schoolboy realness back then, or still means that you can portray a young boy in school.
You do have that baby face.
So it's like, you have a backpack and you have your books and that, and then they score you at the end. But that was my first, and then I think I bartended at a couple gay bars of like that had the ball scene down there, which is like measly compared to what they have in New York. Still important. Not taking away from that, but then when I moved to New York and I joined an acting class, that's where I met my best friend Trace Lissette, who's also an actress on Transparent, a lot of different things, and she is actually from the ballroom scene. So we would stay up late nights just watching YouTube clips, and she'd tell me the stories of her life and how she was discounted in the ballroom scene at first, and then she kept showing up and she kept winning prizes, and that's how I learned. I didn't get to watch shows like Pose. Right. Just like a lot of people think that, work and comes from like RuPaul's Drag Race, and they think things like, are called a death drop when it's actually called a dip. But it's like, that's what's so great about a show like Pose and about what's happening right now with the ballroom scene, is that people are learning where it actually came from.